Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a very, very long weekend of Force of Will to the Teacher's Lounge, your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast featuring myself, your tired streamer and host of the GP TM073. And I am joined by these two guys who weren't at the GP, so they shouldn't be tired, but still are. Let's start with Mike Rance.
What's up, fellas? Hope you all enjoy not hearing Jeremy speak as loud today.
Yeah, I'm going to be very, very quiet today. And Paul Reisman.
Professor Jeremy, your schedule says this is your office hours. If you are in the teacher's lounge, you need to be in your.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Uh,
Okay, office hours. I'm here. Office hours. Did I say teacher's lounge? Read my brain. We're almost getting up to.
Understandable.
We're running a little late today, friend.
Yeah, I'm running a little behind. My schedule's a little bit off today. We're here. We're gonna talk about a lot of spoilers. We're gonna leave the GP talk for Paul's tournament report. Just gonna let that be. We got 7 rulers worth of stuff to talk about today, so let us jump right in. I do want to say though, before we get started, don't forget that we do have our new Brad emote that we're trying to unlock. Currently at 103 out of the 125 we need. So if you like what we do, you want to consider clicking that join button to support us. We appreciate it. You can help us get that Brad emote unlocked, as well as support the channel financially, and we appreciate that very much. If you enjoyed the upgrades to the stream this past weekend in terms of the higher quality audio, the better lighting, the cameras, all that kind of stuff, that was all made possible because of members. So that's kind of what you're contributing to, and we appreciate it. Also, you can go ahead and check out Odyssey Games down below for pre-orders for the set of the 7th. They still have boxes and pre-release kits available. And if you're still looking to try to compete in a GP, the event link for the August online GP is in the description below as well, so you can check that out and get signed up right now. Only $25 for that event, and you get all of the promos. It covers shipping. It's just one unpaid invite and no cash, but it's because it's from the Canadian organizers. But it's still, we want to show them some support, so go ahead and click down below to get signed up for that and let them know that you want to play Force of Will with them too. Oof.
Marketing.
Smooth, smooth voice Jeremy today. Welcome to the office hours. Okay, we're going to start with Asmodeus. We're not going to look at their front sides very much. We're not going to look at their front sides very much, other than to look at their judgment cost, because we've seen the front. We just didn't know judgment. So Asmodeus judging for 2 black, and flipping over into a nice little 2/2 with flying J resonators with +1/+1 counters on them gain swiftness, and you can tap to banish a non-J ruler entity. Put 4 +1/+1 counters on this card.
Small boy.
Tiny.
Small boy does not know how to fly. Cannot swift unless has counters.
Yeah, this is interesting to me. We'll see a little bit of his support here in just a second. He, similarly to Dante, I don't understand what his deck is yet, because
It's 60 cards.
I mean, it's 60 cards, and we haven't seen enough. Like, we'll have seen one card after this that like plays into that idea, but it doesn't really like tie into the J ruler side here for Asmodeus. It just
His
kind
J
of
ruler side seems a little counterproductive to the part of his J ruler side that says swiftness, which is like
it's to me it's this idea of, because you're playing a 60 card deck, sometimes you're just not going to have what you want, and so we gave you like this 2 cost like beater to like fill in the gap, or like fill in the like finale turn.
it's like IU except less good.
Correct. Like IU except less good. I mean, his support might be bonkers, right?
Yeah.
But like even seeing his J ruler side, I just don't see much of an identity with him yet. In my conversations this weekend, like no one talked about him.
Yeah. This is Tree 3, in my opinion. It's Tree 3.
Tree 3.0.
Oh, that's
3.0.
terrible. 3.0.
This is why you're here.
Let's go ahead and go into the 2 support cards for him today. We have Fallen Angel of Dusk, 2-drop 6/6 flying with Fallen. Whenever this card attacks, your opponent discards a card and banishes a Resonator.
It's alright.
If the format slows down a turn and a half, which we'll see it's certainly going to do that here in all of 2 seconds, with the stone that we're going to talk about later today, I actually think this card is a beast. Every time you attack, you go +2. And that's just repeatable, right? Well, I guess you have to resolve a God's Art, but again, as we just talked about, you're going to be able to do that multiple times. So, the longer this guy stays on field, just the more value you get off of him.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine putting some +1/+1 counters on him and making him have swiftness or anything else like that. This is a sleeper card on my list. Just hand manipulation when your opponent doesn't want it on something that generates additional value on a good flying body. Good card, I think. Sleeper, but good card.
Yeah. Might be a little slow, but if the meta slows down, like you mentioned, it's a great mid-range card.
Yeah, play mid-range or else.
Oh, mid-range? This is not a request.
Carlina says mid-range. So this is, I will speak to that. We'll speak to Carlina in a little bit, but this is the kind of card that I would expect to see slotted into board or slotted into decks when they want to start diversifying their threats to avoid the thing that everyone's thinking that Carlina is going to do, right? You want things that are going to get you a lot of value for their cost and can also apply pressure for lethal. And a 2-drop 6/6 is that's gonna hit. It's a good chunk of damage for a low cost resonator, and 2 of these is hey, I'm gonna get you there. Someone gets battle comes to an end, you can fall back on these or have more threats.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I think, a card, and that's one of the reasons why I think this is a card to watch.
Battle comes to an end,
and then this guy comes out and you feel really good about it.
That's cool.
Banquet Demon, a 12 cost 0/0. Pay 1 less for each card in your removed area. So minimum 2 black. +2/+2 for each resonator in your removed area. Enter. This card deals 200 damage to target player or J resonator for each addition in your removed area. And pay 1, return this card to its owner's hand. Pay 1 less to play this ability for each chant in your removed area. So again, this is kind of showing us some of the shaping up of what Asmodeus looks like. He wants to have 60 very diverse suite of cards.
Tree 3.
Very much Tree 3. Imagine this guy being, you get to 12, you get to 10 cards removed, which is very easy to do. I mean, Asmodeus' God's Art does 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that this is a 2 cost, and you have 4 additions removed. You paid 2, you have a 2 cost, 10/10 that's gonna hit your opponent for 8 damage every time it comes in, and you pay 1 and put it back in your hand. Oh. Tree 3.
Tree 3.
We're not
Polish off the release.
Yeah, we're gonna
Remember Yigdor, this is him now. Feel old yet?
Yeah. But it's well designed, I think. I think it's well designed to fit the support archetype. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be, in my opinion, with what we've seen so far, obviously we've got a lot more to see. This is kind of probably one of
I'm just gonna play this in Wanderer, Conqueror, Epic Stories, Allosaurus, and just have a great time.
Yeah.
Man.
And also just this idea of, you're building to a potential win con again. We're gonna come back to it a lot, so I won't keep hitting on it, but we're about to hit a format where you're gonna want to have 6 different approaches to lethal. And so this is an approach to lethal.
100%. It's got stats.
Yeah, also Asmodeus 3 Goddess support. I'm gonna play Asmodeus with the goddesses, especially with like the search and reveal.
Oh, Gatekeeper of Velsivaria too. Oh,
Yeah, like
what a card.
red, white, black Asmodeus looking pretty good.
Real good.
So a lot of fun
Yeah.
for sure. So that's him. Next up, we move on to everybody's slothy boy. Here's Dante. He judgments for 1 black. Dante the Fallen Angel. He is a 7/8 with flying, who searches for Virgil. Virgil. Puts it into your hand. And then really, we're just going to talk about Virgil. We're just going to skip right past Dante. Because his J ruler side is Virgil, technically. 3 cost, 10/10 swiftness. You may make a J ruler you control astral rather than pay this card's cost. And you can pay 1 black. This card deals 400 damage to target player or J resonator. Or this card deals 400 damage to your opponent and each J/resonator your opponent controls. Choose this only if this card is attacking. Fallen, it has Drain, Bane. That ability doesn't say once per turn. Vlad 2.0.
Hey, remember when a 3 cost 8/8 with swiftness was pretty good? Me too. I love 0 cost thousands with swiftness, Drain, Bane
that have no
and
protection.
Damage.
That have no protection.
If only I could capitalize.
It's cost 0.
If only I could capitalize on making all of my Fallen Angel Resonator J rulers, astral. If there's only a way I could do that.
We'll get back to it later.
He would be a 4 of in my deck. Just saying.
Yeah, no, this guy is.
Imagine about that capitalizing on that.
This guy is very, very good. I legitimately think there's argument to run this card in any dark-based deck. Not even the.
I'm gonna play
Angels.
Gruz Ballesta 0, make my Gruz Ballesta astral, and then I can Judgment 0 so easily. Incredibly simple, very strong. Don't do that.
But I also think like Virgil himself, like the Fallen, obviously is nice for the Drain Bane, right? Turning him into like the like true successor to Vlad. But like even just a free 3, like the ability to do that, like board wiping to get around targeting, or just like having a will sink to burn your opponent's face in a black deck. If you have a black ruler, like we talked before about. For Wolfgang, like I actually think you play this in Wolfgang too, because we talked about how some builds of Wolfgang, some builds of Wolfgang wanted to kill Wolfgang after flipping because he doesn't do anything after that, and you wanted, but like it was weird to be will efficient about it, and now Virgil just says flip Wolfgang, get a thing, trigger a thing, sack it, put a Virgil into play too. Like
Jeremy, very important distinction here. Virgil doesn't need you to make a Darkness J ruler.
I understand. I know. I'm saying so that you have the will sync. That's why I'm talking. Like it's like obviously he can be played in any J ruler deck, but like I'm specifically saying so that you're naturally in color to use the will sync ability.
It's fine. Everything's naturally in color when you play Magic Stone with 6 Sages. Simple.
Stop.
As long as that zone exists, you can play this card. It's pretty great.
Yeah, no, it's a very cool card. Absolutely worthy of being a Marvel rare. Very, very flashy. The artwork is gorgeous. This is also, I've joked before. This was my like go-to this weekend. Like looking at all the rulers, you can probably build any of these as like that Fallen Angel primary or that Fallen Angel secondary. So it's like. You can play a Carlina primary or a Carlina secondary. You can play a Dante secondary or a Virgil primary. Please note that I didn't say Dante primary. I said Virgil primary.
Correct.
Because Dante is not a primary ruler. Virgil is.
Fair enough.
Dante's a support ruler to a support ruler for the Virgil.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on, we're going to Black Red is next. Good old.
Actually, I think.
Tears of Corruption. My apologies. Yeah. You're right.
The fact that I threw that in, whatever.
It's just randomly blue, so I was like, wait, what? So Tears of Corruption, 1 cost, 0. Target J Resonator's attack becomes 0 until end of turn. Draw a card. It fallen. As you play this card, it gains the following text. This is the keyword for fallen. Then switch its attack and defense. So this is potentially a blue 1-cost kill spell cantrip. That is very interesting to me. Even the fact that it just cantrips makes me want to look at this card, and the fact that it can target J Resonators. The trick becomes, I think, when we look at these spells that have fallen, being we want to see, I think this goes across the board, is as of now, there's a lot of this world in terms of what the discussion is about using your God's Arts from your rulers reactively, but not proactively. So spells like this, their value goes down, I think, if you're only using your God's Arts reactively. So I need to see more of the set that makes me want to be proactive with my God's Arts to then say, like, oh yes, then I want this card. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Olivia likes this card, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't need it to be I don't think she uses it necessarily, but it's an option, right? Just for more spot removal that doesn't use random.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything, Steven,
Even
in
just
terms
making
of
something.
Sorry, I was saying, Steven, in regards to targeting Atomic Bahamut, anything that targets Atomic Bahamut, I don't put much stock in because it probably has Brave Force, or you've been turbulenced.
You've definitely been turbulenced. I was going to say that.
So we'll have to see. I mean, like this hard.
I
There is
this card's
implications.
This card's just very cool in terms of at its worst. I remember playing cards that would give something -800 attack for 1 blue, and this just says, all right, cool. Your attack is 0. You cannot pass go. Do not collect $200. Your attack is 0.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We got Stemma. Her judgment. Her judgment is red-black. On the flip side, she is a 12/12 with precision, flying, first strike, and bane. What a set of keywords to give to a ruler who can't win the game. Still cannot win the game. Whenever, and then what happens is essentially her death triggers double. So you produce red-black instead of red or black. You draw 2 cards instead of draw 1 card. And then on enter, destroy up to 2 target J/Resonators your opponent controls. Yeah. That's a lot.
Can't win the game.
That's a lot for 2, but you can't win the game.
Can't win the game. Can't win the game.
Correct.
If only there were a way to capitalize on this.
Yeah. 3? 3 of them. There's 3 ways technically in this format. 2 of them we've already seen. 2 of them we know about. 1 of them we'll talk about.
Which ones are you talking about?
Tiger Magic, Gradius,
okay.
Stan.
Oh, you can't forget red black Blazer that kills your Onastema.
You can't kill your Onastema. Blazer only targets your opponent.
You're right.
You cannot Blazer your own
Forgot
ruler.
about that. Never mind.
So yeah, overall cool. Really want to talk about Inferno though.
Got 3.
So red black, choose 1. Your opponent there's 3 modes. Your opponent banishes non-magic stone, non-J ruler entities until they control the same number as you. Or your opponent discards cards until they have the same number of cards in your hand as you. Or your opponent loses life until they have the same amount of life as you. Fallen, this card gains quick cast in all zones. So your hand. If you control a ruler named Stemma, you may choose up to 3 instead. I really like this card. I know that there were some people when it was spoiled at the weekend GP who were cheesing like, we can FTK with this. And I was like, stop. It's bad. Don't do it. FTKs in Force of Will are flashy as hell and never come to fruition. Because the second everyone knows about it, it becomes immediately terrible. Don't do this. I like the fact that this is the grand setup card. Bye, Mike. This is the grand setup or the grand comeback card in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It sets you to equal. It sets all things to be equal. And then it's up to you to like push back after that. This card is terrible if you're ahead. This card is pretty dang good if you're behind. I like it a lot. It's cool design, cool flavor.
He's just gone now.
It's just permanently gone. Yeah, I don't know. Paul, your thoughts?
I think this is one of the contributing factors to why this format is going to slow down a lot. The fact that your opponent can go Prisia into Prisia into Prisia into Prisia into Malfi into Sigurd or whatever people want to do. You could just Inferno.
Yeah. It also gets around Never End, which is hilarious. Because it just says they banish. It doesn't care if they're eternal. To me, we need to see more of this card single-handedly. I think makes me wonder out the gate if Carlina, Astema with Stan as the win con might actually just be the most competitive of the 6 sages out the gate. Because Carlina Astema literally says from the start of the game, I have Inferno that's castable at any point. Because Carlina can pay for it, Astema can search for it. So, like, the fact that regardless of your hand, you just have Inferno live at any point in time during the game. And I apologize. Uncancelable Inferno at any point in time during the game. And that to me, based on Carlina's support, right? It comes down to like, how do we answer well, sir? Right? But like, if something comes out in this set that makes Fallen Angels feel comfortable being able to answer a well, sir, then like Carlina Astema feels great against the decks that we're playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Jeremy knows something.
Don't know anything. But I'm just saying, like, like when that's why I think that's why I like this card's design so much, right? Is it's not. It's terrible when you're, like I said, it's terrible when you're ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great when you're behind, but it doesn't put you ahead of your opponent when you cast it. Like, it puts you to be on the same field as your opponent. And when we're in a format where, because remember, this also hits additions. This hits additions, this hits Regalia, this hits everything, right? Like, your opponent's like, I've done all this stuff, and I've got the double Lycion, and you're like, okay.
This also mitigates Almerius, especially if you're playing this with Belial.
Yeah, battle
just says, cool. You have 7,000 life. Not anymore.
Now you have 2.
Now you have 2.
That's the other thing too that I really like about this card is technically splashable in any of the like negatives ones. Like play it with play it in Beatrice if you have a black base. Right, even without a stemma, like I'm just trying to make you discard down to 0 cards. That's really cool. Play it in Belial, like you can do it in that way, and I think it's really cool. Even brings up an excellent point. Battle comes to an end. The Welsers, and then just say like, hey, I've got Inferno for the rest of the game. What are you gonna do? That feels pretty good.
Just name card with battle comes to an end. They have to remove all their cards. Easy.
Value. The value is there.
If I can convince Phil, he'll rule in my favor.
Uncancelable because of Carlina's God's Art. Like you get a one turn uncancelable. Of like everything you cast is uncancelable. So like you
Mhm.
get that like heavy hit turn, which again is one of the reasons why I think that Carlina Astema out the gate is probably going to be the ones that most people
Right.
gravitate towards.
Toby is now toting this tier
Dante
0
tier
Dante.
0.
I want to see him. Yeah, I want to see him play Mono Dante, like the mad lad who played Mono Milest in this last tournament.
Yeah, man. I'm not mitigating Dante. I
Like
just think he's not a
that's the realest thing in the world.
I'm not mitigating Dante at all. I just think he's just not. I think he's a better support ruler than a better main deck ruler or a primary ruler.
Can't be
he's
support
the-
ruler.
no,
No,
the-
ruler. Let's go. Come
The
on, Toby.
cancel. The scary is let me double check while I jump ahead, but I'm pretty sure it's everything can't be canceled for the turn. Oh no, it's
At this
4 or
point,
more. I apologize. It's 4 or more can't be canceled. So it is a cancelable Inferno. Good grab, everybody.
Just eat your
but
opponent's
still-
Welser.
But yeah, just eat the Welsers. With the battle comes to an
That's all I'm
end, which you
saying,
can
man.
run 4 copies of, which is insane.
Yeah.
And then I really do like the idea of just like constantly threatening Inferno at every point. I think it's a great card.
Like Virgil was good, and then this. was
Everybody
just
roasting Jeremy. He's half asleep, dude. Come on.
They also changed Carlina's text to clarify that you don't get a permanent every time you resolve a 4-drop draw 2. So like, stand corrected. Next up we have the
How dare-
goodest.
How
Next up,
dare you get a card text wrong,
how
Jeremy?
dare I? Next up we have Astema Cerberus, the goodest boy. 1 red, 1 black, 7/7. One red, 1 black, X 7/7. If this card would deal damage to a J/Resonator, it deals 3 times that much instead. The enter is this card deals X 100 damage to each J/Resonator your opponent controls. Repeat this process X -1 times. So, if you pay 4, you hit everything for 600, and then you hit everything for 600 again. So you hit everything for 1200 on your opponent's side of the field for a 4-drop. Seems pretty good. Also, limited bomb.
Oh yeah.
Limited bomb for sure.
The problem is
Yeah.
now we know why Esta is like the angel of hatred and like sorrow and stuff. I'd be sad too if I had 2 hands, a dog with 3 heads. How do you pet all the heads at the
You
same
can't.
time? One of them's gonna get left out. It's so sad. I would be a fallen angel of hatred if I had to hate the world that gave me 2 hands.
Yeah. No. I think it's a cool card.
But my take on this card is it's probably a little bit slow. But anyway, it's good.
Yeah.
Good boy.
Still cool,
It's
still
really-
flavorful, and like
Really
limited.
mana intensive in a format with Welser. Just. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
Limited
big
bomb draft.
Although uncancelable if you make it pay 4. Total cost is 4
Um,
when you're casting it.
Carlina
I
Doggo
think-
deck, let's go.
I could be wrong there, but I don't think so. Because it's not an awakening.
It's okay.
I
We
think
know you can't read Jeremy.
because it's not an awakening, I think I might actually be right, but Charlie's in the chat, so he's sure to make fun of me if I'm wrong. Well, sorry. Charlie will tell me that I'm wrong very politely, and then Steven will make fun of me if I'm wrong. So, there you go.
There you go.
Beatrice
This
is
is called a tag team.
There you go. Beatrice is a blue-black judgment. We're going to go ahead and go over to her J-Ruler side. She's a 5/8 with flying and bane. Return up to 2 target non-magic stone, non-J-Ruler entities your opponent controls to their owner's hands. And then she just has null at the end of your turn, draw a card. She is the least
Exciting.
She's the least impressive to me. Although the idea of flip Beatrice, put stuff back in your opponent's hand, cast Inferno when she's the null ruler. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
But we need to see more of what the null archetype does, and the 2 cards that we just were shown are not doing that. So we need to see what happens.
Yeah.
Not you, Steven. Holshizer. Talk about Holshizer. It would work. Hey, I was right. Charlie told me it would work. Yeah, just play Chelina, it's fine. Chelina flip. We've done it. We've solved it.
Logan, the reason she's a bottom deck is because she's a blue card. Blue cards are not allowed to be good. Anyway, continuing on.
Next up, we have the guide. Guide to the center of the demonic world. You pay 2 more for each card in your hand, so it's 2 blue minimum, 10/10. When this card is put into the field from the deck, bounce the thing to the bottom of its owner's deck and draw a card. So there you go. There you go. But the reason why we're
How do
getting
we get it from the deck?
the next card, which also costs more for every card in your hand, which is Phantasmal Friend. 2 costs.
Phantasmal Friend.
But search your deck for a Cthulhu with total cost 3 or less and put it into the field, then shuffle your deck. So Cthulhu tribal, but a lot of the Cthulhus we have so far have awakening costs, which means it just seems like the other card we just saw is the only one you're going to be grabbing with this, which makes it feel weird.
So I believe this is like the first like Cthulhu that we have. Like this is the one that everyone thinks Cthulhu actually looks like in the lore.
Correct.
One tentacly boy.
One tentacly boy. Yeah, sad times, a Cthulhu spell that Wolfgang can't use. Rip.
All that matters is that the thing's a 2-cost water resonator that's beefy. So I'm putting it in Val 1. It's gonna be bad.
I mean,
Nobody's
that's
gonna
not.
wanna
I mean,
play
like
it.
that's not like it's a 2-cost quick cast 10/10 for Val 1 in Wanderers. So like, eh.
Our quick cast 2-cost 10/10's good? No. Anyway, continuing on.
It's fair. So there's not really much. So I think of the stuff that we've seen so far, Beatrice kind of got like the least revealing stuff. She
got blue, so she got the memes.
Yeah, but the two cards in hand don't really feel supportive of null. They're just kind of like cards where you're like, hey, your hand's gonna be very empty. I guess we'll give you some cards, but that doesn't actually feel like it's the true null support. So I want to see more before we can write her off.
I'm just gonna play Regalia Beatrice in Wanderer and just toss my hand on the board, play big Cthulhu boy, and then just win the game. It's
there you
easy.
go.
Simple. Strategy's there. It's very easy.
So next up we got Belial. Judgments for 1 white, 1 black. So all of these guys have 2-cost judgments. And we flip over into, where did I grab the artwork? There it is.
Cooler artwork.
Cool, very flashy flavor color for artwork. Resonators, the pump goes up to being +4/+4 instead of +2/+2. Now they have drain instead of bane and drain for all your tokens. On enter, you put 2 4/4 light, darkness, fallen angel resonator tokens with flying into the field. So that's actually 2 8/8 bane, drain, flying tokens into the field, alongside a big old 8/8 body. And then just has the fallen text of you cannot lose the game, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. The thing is, he doesn't have his God's Art on this side, though, which I think was a mistake in terms of design. You could have just made it the exact same named God's Art on his J ruler side to the ruler side. So then even if he uses it on his front, he can't also use it on the back. You just like make it a specific name.
Do we have God's arts on the flip side of these fallen angel rulers?
No, the only reason why I'm saying in for Belial is because it feeds into his like fallen ability, right? So like by judgmenting him,
I kind of like the way that they designed this because like it rewards you for holding the God's Art of your other guy.
Yeah.
Like it's very interesting in terms of how it's designed. Like obviously his front side, it's like, all right, cool, I'm not gonna lose the game, and then later in the game you're like, haha, judgment.
Now I can win the game.
So I can't lose the game.
Yeah.
And you can't, because you're Astema. You can't win the game. I can't lose the game.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting to me. Overall though, I think he's probably the most impressive flip that we've seen so far. That's just a lot of value. A lot of value for 2. Like a lot.
The fact that he doesn't destroy every fallen angel resonator and also deal 100 damage whenever a creature's put into the graveyard. He's a little.
The fact that we can't tap. The fact that we can't tap 3 demonic worlds and win the game.
But I appreciate him.
Yeah, the fact that we can't tap 3 demonic worlds and win the game with him is a little disappointing.
For the best effect, red 2 demonic worlds to do -8/-8.
Yeah,
to the board.
the fact that we can't rest 2 demonic worlds to do -8/-8 to the board. He's
that awkward moment where you're playing against Wolfgang 2 and they play Terminus and you're like, wait, that's my ruler.
Wait, what?
I love his S&M armor. I really didn't like dig too deep into it.
It's pretty good. He also got, in my opinion, the 2 best like not Marvel rare like with him cards, which I think are nuts. So first off is Belial's Messenger. One costs 3/5 with flying. On enter, if your life is 2,000 or less. Hey, you start there. Put a 4/4 Light Darkness Fallen Angel Resonator token with flying into the field. That's actually just a 6/6. Mike's gone again. That's actually just a 6/6 Flying Bane token into the field alongside a 3/5 for one, which is crazy. And then Fallen, when it dies, you draw a card, which again seems nuts to me. Like, I just think I think this is very good as a 1-drop body for Belial.
It's like Evil Excel a little bit, kind of like flavor wise, but
Yeah.
I think the Fallen text is just the gravy. Like, really, the best effect is
It's a
you're
beast.
getting 2 flyers, and it's
Yeah.
a beast. So you can make
It's
it
a-
Swifty. Play it in
You
Prisia.
can give it Swifty.
Yeah, and give us 50.
Prisia tier
then-
1.
And then next up we have Prideful Rule. 1 cost or 3 cost, but can cost 1 white if your life is 2,000 or less. So like the starting. Destroy target non-magic stone entity. Anything that's not a stone. So we can control the J ruler, we can kill an addition, we can kill a regalia, we can kill whatever we want. Put a 4/4 Light Darkness Fallen Angel Resonator token with flying into the field. So and put a 6/6 token into the field for 1. Like
With flying and Bane.
like what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a rare. It deserves it. I would like if this was a super rare. I'd say yeah. Like, sounds good.
Also, very important. It can kill J rulers.
Yes.
It can kill additions. It can kill regalia.
Yeah.
Kill-
Like, bruh.
Yeah. No.
Bruh.
This card is. No. Everyone was like, "Oh, Belial's gonna be so bad. You start the life game so low on life," and then he's like, "Hold my drink." Look at all the good tools I get for taking this risk of starting with half life.
Possibly just in general the best token generation ever printed in the game.
This card,
Like,
hands
making
down.
tokens has never felt good until this cluster.
I agree.
Yep.
Hands down, agree. This is bonkers.
Overlooking feasting and favor, and don't even worry about it.
Yep.
Okay, next.
Next up we
Doesn't
have
matter. Doesn't matter.
we have Bitey Lady, Carlina.
Yes, the best.
Judgments for black green. One thing to note again on her God's art is, like I said before, they did add the text to that it's 4 cost or more this turn, so it's not until the end of the game you're suddenly drawing 2 cards every time. But that makes sense. And then nope. Oh, okay, thank you, computer. And then flipping over, 2 cost 9/9
Nice.
with 2 cost 9/9 with flying and barrier from anything that costs 2 or less. So that's nice because of how low cost that everything seems right now. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card by resonators with total cost 2 or less. Also bonkers. If this card would deal damage to a J/resonator, it deals double that much instead. You can still only play 1 spell per turn, and she can still tap to produce 2 will in any combination of attributes. And she's a 9/9. Like, you could have told me she was a 7/7, and I'd have been like, yep, fine, totally great. She's a 9/9, and she does all this stuff.
Very importantly as well, barrier total cost 2 or less also prevents her from being targeted by ruler and J ruler activate abilities.
Yeah, feasting would like a word.
Feasting would definitely like a word. Dude.
Flit, prevents all damage. I'm sorry, did you have a cost? No?
I'm
Sit
sorry.
down.
Is that your ability? Let me just
Let me just say no, not possible, right?
She's a piranha. She lives in the Amazon.
It's funny that it doesn't have protection from Belial's kill spell. That's true. But you know,
Yeah,
what do we say? It's always good to have threats printed alongside answers, right?
You're not flipping Carlina. She produces 2 mana on her front side.
I mean, you might be
Whatever.
pulling Carlina sometimes.
I mean,
You might be, but whatever.
18 flying damage in the air? That seems pretty good.
Well, only to J resonators, but still.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But still, like,
See?
pretty good, especially when we combine
Again,
it with a card.
Reading is extremely powerful in this
Yeah,
game.
reading is
So meta.
very bad. Did you know? You know what I learned this weekend? Because it's never come up in any of my games. Atomic Turbulence hits both sides of the board.
Oh. That is
Oh,
relevant.
I didn't realize that.
Welcome
I don't
welcome to
think
the
other people
office
did.
hours. We're supposed experts on this game. None of us can read.
That's really kind.
Atomic.
You don't need to be able to read in order to be an expert on this game. I look at Violet cards and I'm just like, oh, okay, red Atom. Cool. That's all I need to know
I mean,
about
T
it.
Yes, Jeremy. Come on.
Atomic turbulence does actually hit both sides of the board, and I was like, oh wait, that totally does. It just
Oh.
says to each other. Doesn't say your opponent controls. Huh.
It's fine. You just drop the Muhammad afterwards. It's whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So
Doesn't matter in the long run.
so let's talk about a couple of Carlina's cards. First up, we have Carlina Storm. Everything Carlina's casting is going to be at least 3, if not more, costed. So just like accept that. 4 green, 3 green and 1. Cancel target spell, draw a card. Or if you have Fallen, therefore to try to win the cancel war because of Carlina, remove all spells and abilities your opponent controls from the game and draw a card for each spell or ability removed this way. Woof.
So I see you made 4 Priscias and a
A little,
Sigurd.
a little
I would
thick.
like 5 cards now.
Well, that's not gonna. No.
Is that how this works?
No,
Because it said remove
Nope.
all spells and abilities your opponent controls from the game.
They'd have to be on the chase.
But those
So
are-
like the ability
would-
would have to be
yeah.
on the chase. So like, and you wouldn't
Okay.
actually remove the Priscia, you just remove the ability. It's like the idea of like, say I somehow discarded 3 atoms all at once and I put 3 atom abilities on the chase. You could go Carlina, remove all 3 of your atoms, blah blah blah. Get rid of them. It also is strangely a hoser to Celesta. Celesta's like, pay 4, put 4 spells on the chase, and you're like, that's cute. I'll draw 4 cards, thank you.
So this fallen text is in reference to the chase,
Correct.
even though it does not say that
Well, a spell and an ability only exist actually on the chase.
on the chase.
Otherwise,
Okay.
they're a chance, an addition, or a resonator.
Yeah, 'cause I'm looking at this on the FOW page here, and folks are really confused. Mike Grant's got it though. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's only
we're gonna
things
have
that
a
are
lot
on
of
the
questions
chase.
about
Heads up. I think this card's bit. I don't think this card is good.
I think
I'm
it's
just gonna put
I
that
think
out
it's
real
I think it's
quick.
not great. I think it's not great because we're in a format now where like cancel war, like there's an era
You
where
can't cancel more if you're Carlina.
but that's
one thing,
so
like-
exactly that's the thing. It's like you think about this card and you're like, cancel war, but you're like, wait a minute, Carlina is not doing cancel wars, so that feels really weird. Like
Yeah.
we got to see why this card exists to like set up Carlina to be in those kinds of situations, or what other cards might exist that justify playing this card. The idea of like hold
I
priority.
remember when this card was called Exceed.
Well, there is
and cost 3.
There is a world where like you get two cards value off of it in response to like a Violet discard, because like Violet discard as cost, and that'll trigger the atom, so that puts every Violet discard puts 2 effects on the chase. So like, but like we have to see.
Paul Shaz just said play it in non-Carlina deck.
Yeah, play it in non-Carlina decks.
That's funny, bud.
The
Imagine
format's-
playing 4 mana. Imagine paying 4 mana in a non-Carlina deck.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to do to see what happens there, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Next up, Gradius your own Carlina and then play a bunch of cards.
Aggressive. Don't
no.
do that.
Next
no,
up,
no.
next up we have table manners. 3 cost. Destroy a non-quick cast. Destroy a J/Resonator that has or shares the highest attack total from among J/Resonators your opponent controls. You gain life equal to the total of the life and defense. Then, so to go add them together. Then you draw cards equal to its total cost. Pay 1 green, discard this card, target J/Resonator you control, and a J/Resonator your opponent controls deals damage equal to its attack to each other. So, obviously, this is a good indicator of what the rest of Carlina's support suite is going to be like. Heavy costed cards that also have a discard variant. To say, hey, here's, something else you can do that's not technically casting them, that's low costed, because you probably just spent a bunch of will on a big costed card. That to me feels really good design-wise. Like, that to me feels like really good design-wise of like one big spell, bunch of little support, little pings through discarding. so that she can make sure the big spell gets through or does what she wants to do as a follow-up to it. I like it a lot.
Discard this card from my hand. Do it multiple times with other cards with this effect. Play Inferno. You have no hand. Ooh.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no.
I really just kind of can we just like can we just talk about how cool it is that we're finally seeing cards that have like legitimate different uses outside of their like discard effects.
Oh
compared to the
yeah, where it's
regular
just like
effects,
this.
and
Well,
it's
that was
coming
the
in
thing about
flavorful full
inheritance, right?
time.
Like that was the thing about inheritance, right? Inheritance was perform the enter and get a body, or perform a kind of version of the enter without getting the body. Like it was like pseudo kind of thing. So I like this. Like there's two different paths for this card: casting it or discarding it. I like that a lot.
Yep, I really enjoy this a lot. Also, I just really love the flavor of Carlina's cards.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Anyway,
No,
I'm just really glad that she like. I don't know. She hungry.
She eat
She
all
thick.
the
She play
things.
thick cards. That's honestly this is a character that's built for me. I'm gonna be a Carlina main until Val gets a good card.
There you go. Well, we do have one more ruler to talk about, but it's not really a ruler. It's a sideboard card to start with. We have Stan, our Void ruler,
Hail Stan.
who you cannot start the game as Stan. You can pay 0. You pay 0 to reveal him from outside the game and keep him revealed until the end of game, and then you can play 2 black if you control 2 Fallen Angel rulers that are both astral. Swap those rulers with this card. Play this ability only if this card is revealed outside of the game. Which means that this, by the way, doesn't say you can only do it during your turn, so you can swap during your opponent's turn if they're both dead. Astema says hello. Whoops. Oh, you're dead. And then has the gods.
I'm in danger.
Has the God's Art of Trinity, costs 0. Non-Magic Stone entities your opponent controls lose all abilities until end of turn. Destroy all non-Magic Stone entities. That's on both players' sides. Then all players discard their hand. That includes you. Then remove all cards in all graveyards from the game. Then put a 4,000 Darkness High God Resonator token with Eternal Barrier, and when this card leaves the field, you lose the game into the field. Play this ability only during your turn. This card essentially says you have 1 turn.
And then the token gets suyed, and you lose the game.
Or your opponent chump blocks for forever, or because he doesn't have any kind of things to fix it. But like, it's a Timmy card. In terms of the God's Art, its main power comes from the fact that this card says pay 2 black, you can win the game now as a stemma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't hate. I don't hate that, especially since, like, again, it's always there, right? It just sits in your sideboard, and you're just like, if you ever get to 0 life, I'll just end the game with a stemma, right?
So you have to tell me if I'm right. But my understanding of how this reads is if you pull the Satan trigger first, and your opponent also has Satan, they can just win the game.
No, because your Stan would lose all of his abilities and then get destroyed.
But he's a ruler.
No,
so
the token
would lose all the abilities.
The token would lose all of the abilities and then get destroyed, so I wouldn't lose the game.
So you wouldn't lose the game. Got it.
Or you just crack the God's Art Stone and do it again. Except he's not a fallen angel. He's not a fallen angel, though. You can't. He's a high god.
He's a high god.
So the fallen angel's crackstone doesn't work for him. Unfortunate. But it is a win. It is the win con for Astema. Is this card?
Shout outs to the person who said, "Oh, hey, look, it's just Ragnarok's body, but Stan."
Is it?
It looks a lot like Ragnarok's design, and I think it's because it's the same artist.
Is it if it's the same artist?
It's still Gigant, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. It's cool looking though.
Gigant make thing with orb and wings.
It's a cool looking card though. I think it's very cool.
Somehow the ruler Satan with more complex things has less text than the DBV Satan card did.
Correct.
Which is just
Correct.
to me.
Correct. So if you're ever afraid of Carlina Storm, okay.
So Paul, I have to ask, as a practicing man of faith, are you going to try and find as many ways as possible to not use Satan as your win con for the asthma deck?
Yeah, if you're a person of the cloth in this game, you can't play any fallen angel.
Oof, unfortunate for Paul. So I guess I don't have to. Hey, that means I don't have to give Paul the cards from this set. Dope. Anyone want to buy a full playset of this set?
Actually, if you think about it, Beatrice is a little more like Cthulhu's, which technically is not the enemy of the Catholic faith. So like,
oh geez, Louise, this is hilarious. Just activate Satan's reveal ability 40 times from your sideboard before casting your quick cast spell. Wait, does it say? But it's your opponent controls. Charlie, it specifically says your opponent controls. So you can't just activate Satan 40 times and draw 40 cards. Stop. Now the judge isn't reading. Moving on to speaking of another card none of us can read. Let's talk about Imaginary Satan, the Magic Crystal. Which, first off, let's just look at this artwork. This artwork is like, dang.
He's not imaginary. I see he's right there. What the hell?
That is not Stan. That is Bahamut. Look at that. Yeah. I mean, like Final Fantasy 1 Bahamut in a crystal.
Yeah, like it's freaking dope. Even. So produces black.
This rock has wings.
Produce black. Or tap, produce one will of any attribute. Play this will only if you control an astral ruler. Pretty dang good. I think it's pretty dang good. I go back once again to the idea of Wolfgang with Virgil and this stone instead of the like 7, especially post rotation. Like flip. Because Virgil's a human, right? Or is he a fallen?
Yeah.
He's a
human.
Okay, so like flip Wolfgang, get my thing, play, kill.
Technically speaking, Dante is also a human. If you read the Divine Comedy.
Yeah. Kill the Wolfgang, have a 5-color stone. Like, I think this card is very, very cool. Obviously it's designed to be for these 6 age for the tag rulers, but ultimately again,
the 6 ages, let's go.
No, I don't think this card is for 6 ages at all because of how little we flip them and how frequently they don't die.
I'm gonna flip my Gruz Ballesta. I'm gonna kill with Virgil. We're gonna flip 0 and have a stone.
Rock has wings but doesn't have flying. I spy at it again.
Charlie, don't lie. It's been that way since Ray the Black Owl. We all know that.
Okay, let's talk about the stone that I think is the more relevant one.
Correct.
Ethiopia. Or Erythropia. Produce black or tap, banish this card. Until end of game, you may play all God's Art abilities of fallen angel rulers you control that you played this game an additional time. Hey, remember where I said earlier today, maybe the format slows down a turn and a half?
It's gonna... about 4.5 turns if you're playing Belial with this stone.
Called foreshadowing.
Huh.
It's a literary device.
It's meant to give you hints about the later parts of the narrative to whet your appetite so you keep reading.
Yeah. This card
Babatunde, Ethiopia. Yeah, Ethiopia, Blood Diamond anyway. No, wait, that's Rwanda.
Erythropia.
That's the Congo.
No, I thought it was Rwanda.
It might be both. I don't know.
I watched the wrong movie.
So let's talk about this. I like this card a lot. Can it only work for one or the stones? All right. Can Can it only work for one? No, each stone would essentially be another recharge
Yeah,
if you continue to sack that stone.
yeah, it's 4.
Um,
So
this to
real
me,
talk.
so this to me, we had this conversation a lot. Mike, I am gonna let you go, or I'm gonna let you go into it.
All
But
right, cool.
we had this conversation a lot this weekend. How looking at Belial, and then this stone, like there is argument to be made about this idea of playing the mid-range slow grind, because what you don't want to have happen is trying to be playing burst. Like when this stone exists and you're playing against Belial, what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have the Belial player being like, well, you're the combo deck trying to combo me out every single turn, so regardless of what you do, I'm just always going to stay at full life. What you want to do is you want to get the Belial player can ground down over time to like 4 life, and then say, okay, any one swing is lethal. Are you going to waste your Goddard and Stone on a single swing? Cool. If you've done, great. Like, you are going to have to grind out Belial for them to be able to see this. Like, and like the Belial player will eventually run out of resources if you're playing into them that way, right? Because they're having to lose a stone every single time. And as it stands right now, we don't have any. I guess there's Windstone Shot to be able to bring this stone back. But that feels really weird. Like, feels completely unnecessary as the Belial deck, right? To like suddenly splash into green just so that you can Windstone Shot, just so that you might need to recycle this stone. So also, here's an interesting thought. Pointy Hat Witch about to get real good against Belial. Tap sack stone, recharge God's Arts. No. But nah. Because this stone was well designed.
I got a hat.
Because it's been well designed so that you can't produce will with it the turn you're gonna sack it. As opposed to like Spirit Stone or the new Atom Stone, where float red, sack, float green, sack. Like, no. That stone is only being used to keep you alive for the turn. Or heck, respond to it with a burn spell. Like, there are ways to play around it, which I think is why people are like, oh, it's just going to go 8 times. Like, sure, if you're playing bad and not respecting it, Belial's just going to take another 8 turns and you were bad for letting him do that. But, like, again, this is another thing that says, like, yes, they've properly thought about how to support a ruler where your starting life total is half. Like, I like this stone a lot. I think it's really, really good. But I don't think it's like insane. I just think it's a necessary it's a necessary kind of tool.
6 ages.
It's a necessary kind of tool, I think.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you think?
All right.
I think in Wanderer, Shayla loves this.
Paul, shut up.
Also, don't put Shayla in Wanderer. Just don't.
Also, it doesn't recharge. Also, doesn't recharge Shayla's God's Art because she's not a fallen angel.
That's why you got to flip her and use the Alice that turns all of your board into a specific type. Mike's rubbing off.
There's an addition that returns a stone on enter and a 3-cost resonator.
Yeah, Ancestor's Portrait.
Surgeon. Oh. Also, again, splashing into green.
You know it's the best one because it's got Kiki in the artwork.
That's
the only card from MSW that does.
It's true. True. The best fairy tale of MSW puts a stone from the grave back.
Trivia.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Trivia, baby.
We're learning.
This is why we come to office hours.
Yeah,
all right.
Learn.
So
sometimes even we learn.
I've already dug myself a. All right, so I've dug myself a massive hole with the Ethiopia Rwanda blood diamond comment. Let's keep going.
This is the last card.
If real talk, if there's does that imply the presence of a crypt stone?
Stop. So here's a question, Charlie. You're in the chat. I don't know if Pharesia's Journey can actually technically put this card back. Because anytime that a card refers to your deck, it refers to main deck, and stones can't be in the main deck. So I don't know if Pharesia's Journey can actually put this card back into your stone deck. I don't think so. Because anytime we've had any kind of like shuffle back into deck for Magic Stones, it specifically says take a Magic Stone back into your Magic Stone deck. Like it specifically refers to it. So Charlie will tell me in the chat if I'm wrong, but Pharisia specifically says put a card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. And I think anytime it refers to that, it refers to main deck. No one reads here. We're all Yu-Gi-Oh players now. Pretty sure I'm correct. I am 2 for 8. But they were on the 2 that mattered.
Yeah, because Horn says that.
Horn specifically says,
and Shayla's Foresight said that.
Specifically says go to your Magic Stone deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think Pharisia's Journey would put it back.
Would you... Hold on, I'm doing research now.
So,
I'm like...
let's see. Hold on. Maybe I might actually have some spice for us tonight. 1 second.
Jeremy up here with that Belial spice.
Well, Jeremy up
Athenia
here.
definitely shuffled Bone. I'm pretty sure Athenia shuffled Stones back. Damn, Athenia could have gone made Belial go forever.
I mean, you'd still have to tap for Stone.
Yeah. It's fine.
Oh, I can't post them today. You'll have to come back in 2 days. Oh, wait, we don't have a feature match this week. Great, that works perfect. So Wednesday, in place of a feature match, you'll get the Ruler School exclusive spoilers. Here, I'm going to show them to you real quick. Ready? Here we go.
Spoil.
You go, ready? Real quick. Okay, there we go. I showed you the spoilers.
That looks like a light Magic Stone.
Welcome.
Someone's going to try to like pause it and be like, what is it? It's cards with color on them.
Is that a new Kiki card? Oh my god. Neat.
Overall though, okay, so as we close tonight out, let's talk general thoughts, having seen both sides of the 7 rulers, a couple of Marvel rares, and like the start of some good support. And some stones. The fact that we got stones at the beginning of week 1, I think is actually crazy. Like it certainly like completely shapes my evaluation of a bunch of the other cards now that we've seen these stones. And that might not
also,
be
we're back to stones being rares.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that.
Rip pricey stones.
Rip the 3 play sets of stones I got from my boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew Gil was evil, but dang, with me teasing people. Look, I get my kicks from somewhere, right? So Mike, let me hear your thoughts. Just as we've gone through 1 week of spoilers, thinking about this set, what's going on in your head?
Bye to Lady OP. I love Carlina. I love everything about her. I think she's the most unique and interesting ruler with a lot of flavor behind her. Haha, gluttony. And I don't know, man. She's just really sick in terms of her design, and like seeing the fact that she has cards that are like skill testing dual effect cards that have vastly different effects, whether you activate them from hand or play them as a big spell that turn. The fact that they're low cost discards but high cost play is so so good. So good. Although I will say second favorite ruler does have to be Virgil. Best ruler of the set.
Yeah, for sure.
I sure wish that Jeremy had cosplayed a real ruler instead of, the guy.
I didn't have the artwork. I didn't have the artwork, okay? I might actually so like having now worn the Dante cosplay, like I put the cosplay together myself. And I'm not a typical maker of cosplay, so I kind of did it as a casual style. Having now worn the cosplay, I'm like, if I was to do Dante still, I think I would actually just go ahead and pull the trigger on buying a cosplay. But also, like, now I've seen Virgil art. Like,
well, Jeremy, here's a really good idea, honestly, for the September GP when I go. Keep your Dante cosplay. I could come in a Virgil cosplay and just dunk on you somehow, and I don't know how that would work, but just be like
I just
super
like start.
flavorful.
I just like start commentating during round 1, and you just come in and punch me, and then take over the stream for the rest of the day.
No, it's not even gonna be punched. I'm just gonna body slam you. Just
Oh my
Quinn,
God.
Quinn, you're right off the stage. That'd be
Giant
great.
carnival hammer.
Okay, got it. No, thank you. Not happening. Yeah, but no, those are Mike's thoughts and some of Mike's bad ideas.
There's a lot of bad ideas. Jeremy, my entire thing here has been bad
That's
ideas.
true. That's true. Paul.
I would say worst rulers are in order: Asmodeus,
Yep.
Dante. And the only reason I say Dante is because I think he's a good side deck ruler. Beatrice, and then it's tied for first place being the best. It's Belial, Carlina, and Astema all the way.
Yo, Ryboss
those
coming in
three
with a
are-
Carlina. Let's go! I want to
Yeah,
see all
yeah.
this. I want to see all the fallen angels at this next GP.
Yeah.
Also,
Look, Victoria
Virgil
went.
having an
Victoria
icon
went
is
as.
not canon, so
Wait, Victoria went as Beatrice this time around, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Choose Beatrice. Yep.
I want to see a whole suite. I want somebody to wear Belial's stupid kinky armor.
Yes. No. Trust me, you don't want to do armor. Anyhoozle, I do want to give. So my thoughts going into this, coming into looking through all these things is, Belial to me, along the same lines of what Paul is talking about, Belial, Astema, Carlina, I think are the ones that at the competitive scene are going to hit the ground running. In terms of like they are going to have a big impact on the meta straight out the gate. Belial to me feels like a ruler that is will be very quick to shift to boards if the meta impact is what we expect it to be. Which is like Belial's whole idea is to tell these like go wide 40-0 decks, like, that's cool that you did that. It's not actually winning you the game, and it's not going to win you the game, and then I'm going to punish it, and then I'm going to kill you. Which again, play mid-range. Like the meme, like that meme you made today, like, is really relevant, especially having seen this.
This is not a request.
Play mid-range. This is not a request, right? So, and I think it's like, oh, I'm Violet. Cool. I'm Belial.
GG.
We're not playing a game for like 12 turns, and like that's not gonna go well for you. You know what I mean? So Belial to me feels like the one who's most set up to say no to the current stuff. Astema similarly because of Inferno and because of like we talked about how
is just gonna say
we talked about how much important like going will positive and like card value positive is, and Astema just says like, hey, by the way, every single card I cast is gonna be like has the potential to be will positive, mana positive, and it's during either player's turn. So like, hey, I can start to keep up with things like the, Suya is suddenly force you to sack something, produce a will, play another card, or force you to sack something, draw a card, and get the tokens on Suya. Like, oh, that's...
Or you see into the discard spell. And you
yeah, exactly.
Suya in your hand, Suya into...
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on there that I think is really disruptive to what current format decks are doing. In a way that, like, in a way that like, let me put it this way. The stuff that we've seen so far makes me think that this is going to be a set of stuff that can fight the 6-stage rulers and the current combo deck styles of stuff without actually giving that kind of same additional tools to those 6-stage combo style decks, right? Like, a Suya in the hands of Astema is always going to be better than a Suya in the hands of a 6-stage. Right? Because of how her ability works or something like that, right? So, like, that to me, as we get ready to see more of these cards, gives me a lot of excitement. And I think that the community is really going to enjoy it. And I think that it's naturally going to create a mid-range format. The other thought too is like Carlina. We said this before, but like the fact that we have a deck, a ruler that can battle comes to an end you on one with a card that she's playing 4 copies of.
And can also Ouroboros FTK you on turn 1.
That wasn't good before.
It wasn't, but
so-
you can do it. You know.
Right. It wasn't good before, so it's not going to be good now. But the idea of also Belial's like, yeah, okay, my life was already $2,000, and then I'll also just pay 1 and kill your Ouroboros, okay, and get a token.
GGWP.
Like the cards that we've seen today give me a lot of excitement and hope for their implication for the meta slowing down to be more of a mid-range across the board, not just at top table 2 very competitive players playing a game of chess. Like across the board slow down, which I think people have been asking for. The trick is now as we go through it is like, so I can understand, I saw this earlier today, I can understand a little bit of the concern. People were like, yes, Carlina has a green 1-cost discard spell. It's not a spell. But if all of her stuff is just green, then you've just made things better for the 6Hs, because they'll just, like Feasting, right? She'll just use them instead. Like, the one thing I'm apprehensive about is, like, how much of Carlina's support suite might actually be 5-color, instead of just being all in green. And that's, like, the one question I think I still, like, am apprehensive about and need some answers on. But we'll see.
Yeah.
My open question is, what combinations of rulers actually still have an impact on the meta, and what rulers have to adjust, and how do they adjust? Do they have the tools already to be able to make that adjustment into something that's a little less straightforward? Thinking specifically of Violet and Bahamut and Turbulence, like, is there a way that she can pivot to a more mid-range strategy? And I think that's a little bit of an open question for me. And then what rulers rise to the occasion because the meta slows down? I think of Olivia and Wolfgang.
Tier 0
specifically.
Mikage.
Mikage
course.
control, obviously. Yeah.
I think one of the big things is that I think that rulers that are decks that are currently linear are going to suffer a lot.
Yes.
And I think that I think that the more multifaceted decks that just kind of have more options and more flexibility are going to capitalize a lot off this set. Does that mean I think that Feasting Moonshard is going to continue to take top slots? 100%, yeah, because also Feasting's broken. But, whatever, that's fine.
So, like,
it's something that we've learned.
I think that Feasting Moonshard will continue to have a place at the top table. But I also think that in my mind, it's another version of, like, Feasting Moonshard's gonna have to evolve into a different deck. Which
I think is
possible, which is very much possible, right?
It's 100% bound to happen. I think the biggest thing about the Feasting Moonshard decks right now is that the 4 Melfi, 4 Prisia, 4 Lycion package is probably stuck in place at this point. I think the package is just very, very strong after the reveals. We don't know what cards are getting revealed that could potentially sway that. But just from the first set of reveals, I think that's still just like a staple 12 card package. And then the other 28 is just like like that. It's just gonna be great.
Yeah. It's so, like, we had this conversation when Feasting was first printed. Where we had this conversation of the fact of what Feasting's power is consistency. And consistency is good if the deck is good. And what we have right now is a super linear, but, like, tweaky, or super linear to the win con, but building to the win con flexible, consistent deck. And what we're seeing from this format, at least so far, the question becomes is the win con, the known win con of the consistent deck, in jeopardy? And I had this conversation a lot of, if the win con is linear, and there's stuff in the format that hard punish is linearity, then the linear decks have to diversify, and diversity naturally creates inconsistency, which therefore potentially provides more weakness to the deck that is all about, that only really does well because of its consistency, right? When you make a deck more diverse, it's naturally less consistent. So the question becomes, is the hit brought from the diversity mitigated enough by the strength of Feathsing's enablement of consistency? And that's like the question, right? So we'll have to see what comes out of that. And I'm excited. The new era. It's another new set of like questions and answers, and I'm for it. I'm here for it.
I think
That's
this
why
is
we
the
have.
first time in the game where in the fourth set, I feel like there are actually more decks that are viable than not. I don't think I've ever felt like that before in this game, and that's really interesting to me.
Because Curse of Set 3, but yeah.
Say what?
Because Curse of Set 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just a really interesting time to be in this game. So if you're not in it, be in it now, please.
Yeah.
So it's a good time.
Okay.
Free money.
We are going to go for now. So I'm trying to find my button because I'm tired. But
Yeah, Logan, I agree. I don't think it's linear either, but we gotta go.
I say in the sense of linear in the fact that like the lethal is always the line. The lethal is always the same line. It's always the, like, at least in terms of the thing that people are doing. Like, I give credit to I give credit to Paul Martinson in the last round of Swiss, where he said, I'm going to do Prisia into Sigurd into Institute, and I'm going to pressure you with that. And I said, that's pretty dang good, because he's left a lot of viability and flexibility open for the late game.
The fact that we're having more rulers that can capitalize on Institute is really kind of sick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
So, like, that to
Pretty
me,
good.
so when I say, like, linear, I mean, like, Feasting Moonshard approaches lethal when you have 4 Prisias onto Never End on board, right? Or 4 Prisias into Institute on board. Like, that's what its lethal line looks like 9 times out of 10. It has a crap ton of flexibility in terms of how it gets there, or, like, it can, like, pump the brakes and not go quite as hard on it. But ultimately, Prisia into something is that deck's current win con, right? So that's what I mean, I guess, when I say that. And like when you have the ability to threaten the Prisia into X playline, and that's what the deck has as its win con, then it has to diversify outside of just doing different things with Prisia. Like it has to be doing other stuff too. And so we'll have to see if that actually has an impact. But that's my thoughts. If there's anyone who likes to build jank and can prove me wrong, it's Logan, for sure. So we'll have to see how that goes. What's next cluster, though? I have no idea. I have no idea what next cluster
I put my thoughts. Alice Origin cluster seems like it's going to be really good.
So,
all you can eat buffet cluster.
Carlina cluster, let's go.
So anyway,
all
that's
right,
it for last night.
Do you want to? Wait, no, I want to give my thoughts about what my dream cluster would be. Okay, so, Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong on this timeline thing here. At a certain point, Gil Lapis took over the entirety of Ataractia, conquered it, turned it into his globe, right? Did it ever come back from being the globe? Or did he keep it forever?
Ataractia was never brought back from being a globe.
Okay, so like when the wibbly wobbly timey wimey bullshit happened, and they went back to the before times.
Okay.
Okay, so when that split off, I want to see a continuation of what happened after that story. What if there was a whole new world that was created because of Gil Lapis, and he kind of made himself like the benevolent ruler of the planet of Ataractia with a whole new cast, and he's the only remaining character from the original, but he's old, he's got a beard, he's like an old Gil Lapis.
But that Gil Lapis wasn't benevolent, it just wanted to eat everything because it was Ragnarok in Gil Lapis's body. Don't try to lure me into suddenly changing the character into someone he's not.
He got rid of the Ragnarok, it's fine.
Then he's dead. Then There was no Gil
All right,
Lapis.
cool.
It was literally just Ragnarok in Gil Lapis's body. Stop.
All right, so big Durgan on the planet. Anyway.
Okay, with that note, thank you all so much for being here tonight. We really appreciated it. If you like this constant banner and you want to consider supporting us, click that join button down below, as well as go ahead and check out Odyssey Games for your pre-orders for the 7th with all these cool spoilers. Come back on Wednesday for our exclusive Ruler School spoilers, and you can check the link down below to sign up for the August GP Online. So, until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined by Paul Reisman. And unfortunately, my rant's going on a tangent, not knowing the lore, trying to quote lore to a man who loves the lore.
Just here to cause chaos, man.
And
I just want
until
new characters.
And
I need an
until,
excuse.
I think we're about to get new characters. The timelines have all come back together and we're moving forward. It's going to be new characters.
Convergence.
Anyway.
Time break.
Not
The time break. Basketball timeline. We're going to basketball foul.
Until next time,
Basketball is
class
interactive
dismissed.